Good morning, students. Today we come at the end of our chapter power sharing, and we had seen already that chapter power sharing happens to be a very important ingredient in any democracy, whereby either the government institutions share the power, or different pressure groups or social groups within the government or even outside the government can also share power. And all this is done to ensure that, yes, the majoritarianism it does not prevail within the society, whereby, as I've always said, that in a democracy, numbers are very important. And so it should not become a situation whereby any community which has a majority, that is a numerical majority, is able to bulldoze any kind of opinion which might come out of the minority communities, or just ensure that whatever they want needs to be should become a law, and what the other people or the other segments of the population want should not matter at all. Now, what we have studied is, even if the majority opinion matters, and so does the minority of the minority opinion. Even if it has, if a particular segment of population numbers barely a few thousand or lakh, even they are extremely important in the scheme of things, to if we actually want to strengthen the democratic setup within any country for that matter. Now we come to the last point here today, that is, power sharing agreements can also be seen in the way political parties, pressure groups, and movements control or influence those in power. In a democracy, the citizens must have freedom to choose among various contenders for power. In contemporary democracies, this takes the form of a competition among different parties. Students, you have to understand one very important thing. Democracy is about choices. You know, you cannot call yourself a democracy whereby, say, you do not have a choice to choose either the political party or the body to represent you, right? Say, for example, China just has one Communist Party of China, right, and nothing else. They do not allow a second opinion to emerge at all. So, in spite of whatever the standard of living is for them, uh, it's not a democracy. Why? Because people don't have a choice to choose the body, or it's people who would represent them, right? It is imposed by the state that, yes, from tomorrow, this is the guy or this is the woman who is going to represent you now, or this is the body or this is the institution that would be responsible for this. Your opinion does not really matter. Why? Because you do not have a choice. So, because if you do not have a choice, if you do not have an alternative, then you basically take whatever is offered to you, right? Now, but democracy is about giving choice to its people, whether through political parties or through pressure groups and different political or political movements. Now, such competition ensures that the power does not remain in one hand. In the long run, power is shared among different political parties that represent different ideologies and social groups. For example, even in India, for that matter, you have many political parties which are active at state level, and some are active at national level. And the prominent ones at the national level, of course, we know are BJP and the Congress party. So you still have a choice. You still have an alternative. People who would like the policies of Congress, they would like to align themselves with the Congress party, and the people who would like the policies of BJP would like to align themselves with BJP. Yes, so that is what it is. You have a choice to exercise whatever your wishes are, and then you can align yourself with the political party. Now, this is what we are saying. Sometimes this kind of sharing can be direct when two or more political parties form an alliance to contest elections. If their alliance is elected, they form a coalition government and thus share power. In democracy, we find interest groups such as those of traders. Now, guys, here alliances can be of two types, though I don't think it's mentioned here. What they are essentially trying to say is, because elections happen to be the most important uh, activity within a democratic setup or within a democracy, where it happens once in probably 4 years, or whether it happens once in 5 years. But that is the most important thing that happens within the structure, whereby you can get rid of the people you do not like. If you don't like their work, that you don't like their ideologies, you can get rid of your representatives, right? Because as we said right in the beginning of the chapter, that in a democracy, the complete rule, the complete governance is done in the name of its citizens. So, if the whole system, the whole institutional network and framework is working in the name of the citizens of a country, then those citizens would have to be given the power to choose their representatives, right? And if they don't like it, to replace them. So this is one of the very important ingredients, that is elections. And you have to understand that there are two kinds of alliances, as they've just mentioned here. They just talked about the alliance, but you have to understand there can be two kind of alliances. One alliance could be different political parties who probably share the same ideology, or at least probably share the same hunger for power. They come together to fight an election, enter into different seat sharing agreements, but everything before the election. Okay, so they come together, they share their constituencies and all that calculation about who would stand from which constituency, whether this party would field its candidate from Missouri, that party would field its candidate from Saharanpur, and all of that would be worked out. But everything and all the understanding is reached before elections. That is known as a pre-poll alliance, that is before the pollings happen. Now, there is an alliance that is also very much in fashion in a democracy, which is known as a post-poll alliance. Now, what is a post-poll alliance? Post-poll alliance could be two political parties have fought the election independently, right? I might be BJP, and probably it's party A is both of us have been cursing each other, and we have been opponents during the election, right? But after the election results are out, we realize that yes, probably no political party can come to power, because that's the mandate that the people of the state or of the country that they have given is a very fractured mandate, right? And then probably, though we had been fighting against each other during the election, I might come and align with the political party A, and they say, and I may say, why don't we come together and let's form the government in the state, or in the country for that matter, right? Because it is very much possible, because we see probably that no political party has a clear majority to form a government. And then what happens is different kind of, you try and stitch up a majority, because you in a democracy, students, as I have always and always said, numbers are important. So unless you are not, you would have to stitch up numbers, because in the state legislature or in the parliament, you will have to prove your numerical majority on the floor of the house, right? That you have thus you have a simple majority, that you can run the state legislature, that you can run the parliament. Now that can only happen if you have the numbers. Now, if during the pre-poll alliance, if you have the numbers, if you have a comfortable majority, then you do not need to worry. But after the elections, if all the political parties realize that yes, none of them have a majority, it's a very, very confused and a fractured mandate, then this is what happens, where different political parties, there is a mad rush to kind of get into an alliance, get into an understanding, to cobble up a majority, and so that it's just to ensure that they are in power. Because after all, everyone wants to be in the government. No one wants to be in the opposition, students. Take my word for it. And so they would also have the share in the no. Yes, in a democracy, we find interest groups such as those of traders, businessmen, industrialists, farmers, and industrial workers. So what we are saying here is it is not just that the political parties and the state institutions that play a decisive role within a democracy. We are saying that there are different pressure groups also which play a very significant role within the whole democratic framework of a country or a state for that matter, because there would be associations which would be traders associations, there would be associations that could be doctors associations. There could be associations which would be transport associations, all kinds of associations, right? And they have their own say in how the day-to-day running is done, right? Because you cannot ignore their interests. And probably say, for example, there would be a railways union or an association. Now, if you want to run such a massive network of Indian railways, you cannot antagonize them, you cannot fight against that union and think that yes, you would get away with it and then you would have a smooth functioning of Indian railways. No, it's impossible. For example, you have a pilots association of India. If you think you can manage airlines, whether private or Indian Airlines, the government domestic carrier or international carrier for that matter, if you think you can manage airlines by picking up a fight against the pilots association, you are mistaken. It would still not work out, because they are extremely powerful associations. So they have their own way of exercising power and influence on the government and ensure that the government listens to them. So what we are have essentially seen in this chapter is that yes, in a democracy there are definitely the pillars of state institutions, which definitely are enormously influential and powerful. But at the same time, we have also seen that yes, just having power is not enough. In a democracy, you have to also ensure that everyone is on board. Everyone, you try to take along everyone. It is a you try and ensure that it is an inclusive kind of an environment whereby the majority is not bulldozing its opinion on on the minorities or a minority opinion. Okay, so this is how the whole system needs to be done, because the intention is, students, to make the system work. We can keep fighting, or the state institutions or the political parties within the state can keep fighting and keep bickering and keep disagreeing on all the matters, but then they would realize that the state does not prosper, the people of the state do not develop, right? So there has to be a political stability, and only then would the economic stability happen. And when there is an economic, so an environment of economic stability, only then do the people of that state or that country prosper. So the whole thing is done to ensure that this is achieved. Okay, so we come to the end of this chapter. You shall have your questions, but be prepared for the first examination on Monday. That is, thanks.